T1 for VP went down very early, and that does open the jungle up for the side of Winstrike, as no one didn't realize he got body blocked by a second from Kikid, but Kikid has no follow-up to it.
No.
Still the Centaur, the neutrals helping out the side of Winstrike. Now Kikid being blocked a little bit. Purifying Blame's gonna be there from Solo. Kikid still running, and now the Stampede, they want to turn this. Young G jumps in after Solo, but the false promise is there, but they found the TA and no one. But here comes Cumin. He adds spice to the team fight with that chrono, but it's not gonna be enough. Fisher will be there from Zayak. He needs Echo, but it's on a 10-second cooldown. It's gonna be a big win for Winstrike. They find a 2-for-0 trade, and they would have found a 3-for-0 had Solo not committed the false promise.
Yeah, that's really rough for VP, but props to Winstrike finally getting that aggression up and running. VP just kind of playing into that. You've got to be a lot more careful. I think they're going to need a few more sentries in this upper part of the map. They've got good coverage on the bottom jungle, but nothing up here. Need to keep a watchful eye on those entrances to ensure that doesn't happen again, because if Winstrike keeps finding these kills, their lead is just going to build up, and they're at the 3k advantage now from that last fight.
Bogos spots out no one. Trap gonna be set. He does have help. Solo doesn't have false promise, but Arrow does connect. No one's starting to follow, but Zayak has Echo. This could be bad, or maybe not. They're bursting him down slowly. Phogos getting taken. There's the Echo being dropped onto Tisei and Phogos, but Zayak almost dead. Still Decrepify will save the day. Young G gonna chase him down with Bloodlust. Solo TP's out of there. In fact, never mind. It wasn't Solo. It was no one on the Prophet. And somehow nobody dies. Everyone walks away with their lives intact. And Winstrike. Ooh, they're feeling the energy now, John. The momentum's going. The blood's flowing. And this is what we love to see.
Oh yeah, this is exactly how Winstrike needs to keep playing. As mentioned again, they want this lineup to be up and running early on. They're applying that pressure as fast as possible. They understand, with that chrono down from Crewman, he's not going to be around to back up the rest of VP. So they're not going to be playing into the Faceless Void for some time. That's something they can definitely abuse. And they are pretty much trying to. They don't manage to find the kills then. But you do feel VP, they're going to have to play a bit more cautiously. They did expend the Echo Slam as well. So Zayak's not going to have that tool for another minute and a half. And that's still a big opening for Winstrike.
Young G, he'll set up for that bot T1. Young G does get it. They have that early Deso, but top lane, no one. By himself, they don't get the Fire Blast off Kikid, actually using it on a Treant. Was that am I seeing things? Did you just stun a Treant for no reason?
Perhaps.
Could have been the Siege Creep. Just trying to slow down the Tier 2 going down, and I think it may have been. That makes a bit more sense, but the Tier 2 still goes down. At the very least, Phogos does get the deny off.
Yeah, they do take the gold away, which is pretty big for a lineup like VP's, which wants those objectives early on. Still, you're losing control on the map. Very nice scan coming out from Winstrike, spotting out the smoke, but they could think it's a Roche instead. They're TPing in to try to respond to a potential Roche.
But they saw the scan. It went green. It went green. Kikid! No! Gets caught out. And, Kikid, he saw green. He thought he was looking at traffic lights, John. He thought we better go now. And, well, he's a tanky target, but he gets run over by the side of VP.
Yeah, that's surprising. His partner canceled off his TP, and he opted to finish it. Unfortunately, he does pay with his life. Still, not the biggest loss for Winstrike. You know, it's just a support Ogre Magi. That's what he does. You can make something happen with that space. Perhaps maybe find a nice jump onto no one. They are clumped around.
This could be huge. But Cumin's around, and he has that chrono, and that's something you've always got to be worried about if you are Winstrike. He also does have the Diffusal Blade up now, so he's got plenty more damage with these auto attacks.
Oh.
An arrow does land on no one, but he's got plenty of help. And Winstrike, they're not set up for this T1 defense. And so suddenly VP, they'll find another T1 on top of that T1 and Tier 2 up at the top lane. And Winstrike, that early advantage they had by taking that mid T1, not really existent anymore.
Definitely. They're not getting as much from this map as you'd expect. Resolution up top onto Kikid. Drops him down to 300 HP from full. Not enough to clean him up, though.
Phogos has to be careful mid lane. He has the blink, he jumps in, but no one, again, has help. Solo has the false promise just in case, but he won't commit, and Kuman gets the chrono onto that TA, straight in the back lines. Still, can they save? Young G falling, and he gets bashed to death. Now the Gyro jumping in, but losing so much HP to no one, as well as Phogos. He's just been left alone. They're going to try and help, but the Echo, Zayak just fighting the whole creep wave, as well as 2 heroes. Zayak with the timing. And that tier 2 mid now going to go down again very easily. Winstrike will have no way to defend.
It's just rough for Winstrike, right? Like, they're trying to find that aggressive opening, but every single time their timing's just kind of off now. VP just going in with a punishment. They can transition to these objectives quite fast. I believe that was Zayak's Blink Dagger reveal as well, so they didn't know that tool would be up and running. So they just didn't expect it, and unfortunately VP, once you give them an inch, they take a mile. Take that tier 2 now, and the map is shrinking here for Winstrike. They need a lot more farm on their TA and Gyrocopter before they are able to really stand up against this onslaught, but the map is getting a bit too small for both of these heroes to farm up.
Yeah, now VP, they take the opposing outpost, and it looks like they should be able to find 2 outposts for their troubles. No one is near his own outpost. He will... No one? Maybe assuming that outpost is bait, doesn't actually go for it. Meanwhile, Winstrike will go ahead and deny their outpost back. Still, you gotta help him out a bit there. Phogos, he'll make it in time, so... Winstrike, they get away with a nice play, denying the XP off from VP. And well, with that, they look to start a Roshan attempt apparently. Though VP are nearby, and that Trine is gonna scout them out. Can they take this fight? They have Stampede back up, and Phogos, he's in a stand-in position. No Chrono, no Echo Slam. They have the ability to try and win this, as Stampede will be committed, and now Kikit, he gets out of there, and they burst down Solo straight away. No false promise either as Young G. He'll be the target though for Kuman. Kuman finds the kill. Now TSA on the Mirana, leaping away, but Zayak in position with the Echo now, but he won't commit yet. He'll hold out. But they've caught the Gyro, and there's the Echo. Zayak again finding 2, setting up for his team. The buyback was there from the Ogre, but he just runs the other way now. He knows there's no helping. A massive hoof stomp, but what good is it when you don't have a team around you? He blinks away, but it doesn't really matter. He does get taken out. And John, you sound very surprised. I wonder what it's about.
No one was really low and just TP'd out in front of everyone else right before... They lost 3 heroes, you know? He just TP's out. Like, that was just perfect positioning from VP somehow, from what looked like a bit of a scattered fight. They didn't have Chrono. They did have Slam, and that was enough. In fact, no one just finds something else as well.
Yeah, Fisher connects onto TSA, and no one has the follow-up damage. And this mid-profit has become a real problem. Has the Maelstrom, has the Halberd, and has the Imp Claw to make matters worse. And Kuman has an Aegis. Also has Chrono, by the way. It was not committed during that last engagement. I believe it was still on cooldown the whole time. The VP, with that Chrono, with that false promise, look to start making plays again, as they are cutting off the escape route for this Gyro. No one. Actually gets the creep kill first before he tries for the Sprout. Gotta be efficient.
Gotta make that money.
You gotta make the money. It's no one. Doesn't really care for the kills anyway. They want the bot tier 1 and tier 2 towers, and they're the only outer towers remaining here for Winstrike. Once those are gone, this whole map belongs to VP now.
The defense is probably not going to be coming out, right? Like, the tools aren't quite there.
Mid lane, hoof stomp, Kuman, he just jumps in. Arrow, gonna be dodged, in fact taken by the creep. Stampede being committed, Kuman holding on to the Chrono, now commits it. He catches the Centaur, Stampede will not work this time around. And Resolution does take the kill. In fact, they found another. TSA, he has no leap charges. He'll use and TP, Resolution does not have enough damage.
He had no way of stopping that, unfortunately. Still, a nice kill going the way of VP.
Look at no one.
They might find more.
He's just going up against 2 by himself, and now Kuman will join in. Can't catch anyone. But it's not like they need to. They want the tier 2, and they get the tier 2.
just like that. You really can't stop this push coming out from VP. Even the high ground is going to be very hard to defend with this kind of lineup. They can just play from afar, spam the Nether Blast with Resolution, and that's it, or split push with ENP. It's going to be very hard to keep your lanes shoved out against this lineup from VP.
And you can see Young G on the TA desperately just trying to get his BKB up, and that might be the game changer, right? Because so many of these abilities, and especially the Pugner, is really what's haunting him this game. Once that BKB's up, the only concern you have is the Chrono. As well as that, the Gyro is also struggling quite a bit in farm. He's only got an Aghanim Scepter up, trying to go for a BKB of his own. And Winstrike, they've popped a Moonlight Shadow, but it looks like it was only for the purpose of placing down some deep wards on the opposing side of the map. And VP, well, they won't find them. Not yet anyway, but an Invis Rune is on the Earthshaker. He has Echo, and they seem to know where Winstrike are. Zayat just going to walk into them casually. DK goes after the Pugner, but his Mirana cannot follow up with the arrow. TSA going to use up the ES, but Resolution says not this time, or maybe it is this time. Rezo does not commit Nether Blast before Life Drain, and it does cost him. It's Kuman. Going to move up mid lane. Diffusal is there, and what a Manta dodge on that hoof stomp.
Yeah.
Kuman. Does he have Chrono? He does not.
That dodge, though, right in the stomp. I mean, you know, stomp's not a fast skill. But
oh, Echo! Zyak catching out a huge target in the Gyrocopter. He is surely going to be able to walk out of this one. Kuman, he can't hold him down long enough. He does have the Aegis just in case he gets taken down himself. But he gets a time walk off. And now he does have Chrono officially up. And Winstrike, they've got to be aware of this.
Yeah, it's going to be, again, a rough fight to go into. I think VP, if they want to fight, they've got to do it now while the Aegis is still up. Should be expiring in maybe about a minute, so it doesn't have too much left, that Aegis, if they want to force a fight out. Still, it looks like VP is just going to step back, farm up, take over that jungle for a bit, and Winstrike try to smoke up.
They do, but have they not timed the Chrono timing properly? Maybe with the Echo down, they think maybe that's the chance. Like, Zyak has been very, very disruptive with these Echoes. VP, they return the favor. They smoke up. Resolution, going to be the bait for his team. DK Phogos should have scouted this out by now. And meanwhile, Zyak just staying away from his team. He doesn't have Echo anyway. Kuman goes for the Diffusal Blade on Kikid, and those bashes. Poor Ogre doesn't get a chance. And no one says, screw the team fight, I want towers. And it's straight up to the top lane again where TSA jumps in, gets a Yules off, but misses the arrow. And that will not stop VP. Although maybe the Aegis expiring will, as Kuman does lose it. But I think with the Chrono, you're still happy to go on.
Oh, definitely. It should still be a push, although the... Oh?
Zyak, 20 seconds away from Echo. He tries to catch out the Mirana. Not quite that lucky. BKB now, going to be up with this Gyrocopter, so a 10-second charge ready to go for this team fight. You've also got the 10-second charge on Young G, but they haven't saved for buyback on this Gyrocopter, so it could be pretty disastrous as Kuman thinks about the Chrono. Not quite yet though. Phogos trying to go for the hoof stomp, baits out the Manta. Kuman just bashes his way to victory. Phogos, there's the Chrono. He finds both of them. He wants a Gyrocopter first. Rezo will take care of the Centaur, and now the ES. Well, he was Yules up for a second, but Young G's the real target, and now Decrep saves him as he commits another huge Echo. And they're just on point, VP. Even the Decrepify in the middle of all that on the ES, not allowing the TA to get that final tick of damage in with his auto attack. And that's going to allow for 2 Raxes, maybe even 3.
Yeah, there's no stopping this. You only have an Ogre Magi, you don't have any buybacks. These towers melt to all the heroes that VP has. They're going to go for the full Mega Creeps now. And they could go for the Tier 4s afterwards. What's there to stop them?
Nothing. They will respawn very, very soon. But you're getting Megan. you may just call GG before the T4s even get attacked. Phogos gonna move in. He's gonna go for one last-ditch attempt, but it's all by himself. He goes for a hoof stomp, but there's no follow-up to it in the Stampede. It's not gonna save him. The Gyro now jumps in with his own BKB. They're gonna fight them without Chrono, and they do find no one on the Prophet. It's a big kill, but Kakid's also lost his life for Kuman now. Falling low, no time walk, but Decrepify again gonna save his life from Kuman. He will die just in the nick of time.
No.
Still the Gyro. Can he survive this? No one has brought back, and now where are you TPing? No one. He is just TPing away as they're going to lose Zayak as well. And Winstrike, they hold on to one range racks.
Yeah, they hang in there. They managed to punish VP for being a bit too far forward. Look, that's the start of the fight looked a bit rough. They blink in, they get the hoof stomp, but they don't manage to catch Kuman in. Looks like it's, it looks like it's about to fall apart still. The focus from VP did seem a bit scattered. They didn't have their ultimates up this time around. So it was a bit harder to take that team fight, and Winstrike understood that. They punish VP hard. They do find some good kills there. They save their last racks, and they stay in the game. It's going to be very hard to hold on to that last racks, though. And I checked the win probability, Mike. Dota Plus still says 100% for Winstrike, of course, as Dota Pluses want to do. But I think VP, they're only like a fight or two away from securing this right now. So Winstrike, they've got to play smart. They've got to find the right targets and find some great pickoffs. In fact, they found
Treant block. No one. He blocks the arrow with the Treants just in the nick of time. They're still going to jump in. Who's stopped? DK Phogos trying to find it and does get the Oracle, but that's not an easy target to go for. Now the Gyro, BKB up for Kuman, has the Chrono, commits it on one hero, but that's all he needs. The Gyro is the real problem. Now the Fisher to follow up. Still he's running away, but eventually does fall. Now Kakid, he'll be the target. In fact, TSA falling low on the Mirana. They jump back in with a huge hoof stomp from DK Phogos, but it's not enough for Zayak. Again with the Echo, and there's the GG call. They've had enough. And Zayak, I mean, if you're going to give anyone the MVP, this man, how many echoes does he have to hit for Winstrike to say, that's it, I can't do it anymore?
Way too many. But Winstrike, it looked like they had a couple of openings there. They just couldn't match up to what VP had. VP just had control the entire time. Their laning combination from Winstrike didn't quite pay off. I think they're going to have to reevaluate what they want coming out from these lanes, especially with that Mirana pick. Still, VP, a very clean win, 29-9, 30.5 minutes in. Really looking really solid here.
Would you say it was based on... Because personally, the way I view this game is naturally Virtus.pro looked fantastic. You can't take that away from them. They look great. They were landing... They had just great synergy together. So many times, but... We did talk about it. Winstrike with this draft, it does feel like they kind of locked themselves in a corner. Like, how many times did we see Resolution save his teammates with Decrepify?
A lot. Just
right?
A lot. There was so much value from the Oracle and Pugna. Like, as mentioned from draft, they kind of locked themselves in with that TA last pick. That really sealed their fate. They picked it into the Pugna. They picked it into the Oracle. And that just does not work. I think they've got to change up their drafting mentality there. And I think, they've got to work on that for sure. Like, the draft definitely played a pretty big part here as well.
All props to no one, by the way. I'm having a look at the damage graphs, and he's on top at 30,000 damage. That is some substantial damage, considering the game didn't last that long. Man, oh man, 30 minutes in, 30k damage, pretty darn good, no one. Congrats to VP. That's game number 1, though. This is an upper bracket best of 3. Winner will go to the upper bracket finals to face off up against... Apparently my memory is not very good, John, but Hellraisers is the team I was looking for. We were just casting them, John, but you can tell I'm getting old. So Hellraisers are still waiting, and right now VP are looking pretty good. Can they continue this streak? We'll find out in game number 2, coming up in about 5 to 10 minutes. We'll see you soon.
Yeah, it's a solid strategy to throw out there for Winstrike. It's going to be interesting to see how they draft around it, though. Like, what do you follow up with a Clockwork Shadow Fiend? What are you going to go for your safe lane? I think is the biggest question. Is that Clockwork going to be in the off lane, or is it going to be a support clock relegated into that role, which we don't see too often? I think we have seen it a lot more on that core position in the off, but you do have some flexibility to perhaps throw it in as the pause 4. Still, we'll see how it does unfold a little more. I think with that Clockwork, again, I think big one is really Life Stealer. You just have a natural vehicle there, but you'd want something that can keep up with the pace of the Clockwork's initiation. Like something that can jump in quite well as well to follow up.
I was having a thought though, with the position 1 of Winstrike. It seems like to keep up with a team like Virtus.pro, it does seem like they're going to need some kind of pos 1 that either comes online early like you mentioned, or flash farms very, very effectively. Obviously the Gyrocopter we thought may have been a hero that could come online early and could also flash farm, but it definitely wasn't the answer that time. And I wonder what kind of route they go down though. Winstrike for now, go for the Venge. Pretty strong support pickup. Virtus.pro, they took the Snapfire, and it's obviously very strong with the Mars. And now you also have the TA up against the SF. And TA loves going up against SF, John. It's not so much an easy matchup, but it's an even matchup at the least for the TA.
Yeah, it's not the most lopsided matchup in mid. I'm curious to see how this support duo from Winstrike is going to do. I do see the reasoning behind that Venge, right? Like, you've got the Shadow Fiend, you've got the Venge, you've got a lot of minus armor going around, you've got the Ricky core as well coming out for Winstrike. So you have a lot of ways of getting that physical damage up and running, and you have great follow-up with the Clockwork with that Ricky. You know, you trap them in the cogs, you get your tricks off, it's going to be very easy to find those kills. And you have the Venge swap for saving people as well. So you've got a lot of tools here for Winstrike to really play around with. I think when it comes down to a big team fight, though, Virtus.pro is looking much stronger. The AA Snap, the Mars, all of these heroes have huge AoE skills that can give you a lot of control. And in the case of Snapfire, it gives you a little bit of mobility to get out as well, out of trouble. So you've got all these factors to consider when fighting into Virtus.pro now for Winstrike. And it's going to be something to watch out for. I think the key thing is going to be the timing of that Ricky. We saw the last time we saw that core Ricky, it came online quite fast. But that was coming from a pretty free lane. I'm not sure if you can really expect that for Winstrike up against VP.
That's the question in my mind. Is he going to get a free enough lane? And he is going to be matched up against the Mars and more than likely a Snapfire combo, which is pretty scary. Considering Mars would love the cookie setup into the spear, onto the Ricky. Sure, you have the Jukes, but as soon as that cookie lands, you're kind of screwed. They could also go for the AA Mars combination. You still have Spear into Cold Feet, which is also just as good. But the question still stands. Does he have as good of a start? We're going to find out. Only time will tell. I could still tell you 100% that Winstrike's draft is already better than their last one, in my opinion.
Oh yeah, no doubt about that.
Yeah,
way better. It's not really counteracted by any single pick from Virtus.pro right now. Like, there's nothing that really just shuts down what they want to do, like a disarm with a Gyrocopter and TA. So they've got a lot more leeway here. It's a bit more open-ended. I'm curious to see how they close it out. I think that last pick's going to be fascinating to watch come out. In fact, they just jumped straight to it. The Darkseer coming out. So you've got that team fight now. You've got that setup. You've got a solid offlaner that can be really annoying to deal with. And I think that works really well with something like the Ricky as well, right? You have a lot of damage that can fly right out in that Ricky. Once you start running around together, you can be a real nuisance to VP. And again, it just gives them that team fight, that AoE control that they were kind of lacking. So you have a way of forcing VP in unfavorable spots now. And that will mean that VP has to watch out for those 5v5 engagements. They do close out with the Troll.
I like it.
So, yeah, it's a solid pick. I think in this lineup, it's going to be interesting to see how exactly it faces up against what Winstrike has. But I think as a hero by itself, with what you already have, it fits in quite nicely. You know, it's good physical damage. It can be range, it can be up close. You have a nice bit of bash as well to keep these heroes in check. And I think it doesn't take too long to come online unless you go for the Battle Fury route. We'll see whether or not VP is going to take it a bit slower this game or keep up that pace we saw in Game 1.
Couple of things to mention as well before we start that game number 2. You wouldn't know this because this was in a different league. Young G does play a lot of SF, John, and I just remembered how good he is on this hero. He is really fantastic. He tends to get quite a high net worth lead by the time you hit that mid game, and he can be very, very devastating on this hero. Another thing as well, you've got the Darkseer Clockwork combo, right? So the Iron Shell into the Battery Assault's just, I mean, you already talked about it. It's disgusting. It's disgusting to have to go against. But on top of that, Troll into the Riki. If there's one hero that can make the Battle Trance somewhat useless, could be the Riki. You got Smokescreen. You can obviously just Tricks the trade out. You can Blink out. You've even got the Requiem there from the SF. So they still have the answers to this Troll if necessary.
Yeah, I don't think the Troll is going to be a massive issue. I think it's still a solid core. It's not necessarily completely shut out by that Riki. Early on, yeah, when that Smokescreen is expended right on the Troll, he's not really going to be doing damage. I think you're going to have to try to look for an early way of going through the blind, which means a bit of a fast MKB perhaps, maybe third item build-up if you can afford it. Although you might want to sneak a BKB in there just to make sure you're not going to be controlled up too hard or facing too much damage against the SF if no one's going to be building a pipe. Still, it's going to be interesting to see whether or not VP will give that time to Kuman to grow big, because the lineup from Winstrike is looking a lot more fast-paced, right? Like the laning phase should be fairly solid for them, and their heroes don't require too much farm to be online. Even a Riki doesn't really take much. So we're going to see whether or not VP can actually hold out and get bigger on their course.
Zayak, Splinter Blast, straight to the face of DK Phogos, and now he's slowed up. Doesn't really have a way out of this, but he'll throw an Iron Shell out, and now TSA starts moving forward, and Zayak, he's going to be the target, and that Snapfire isn't very tanky. They'll take down one. Still Kakid will be the trade-off, and DK, he's going to put another Iron Shell on top of himself, and it looks like it should be a 2-for-1 trade as Solo will eventually tick out to Phogos. And it looks like Phogos thought about going for a deny on that tier 2, but he'll salve up instead. A great start for Winstrike.
Definitely. They've got themselves 2 nice kills. They don't go for the cogs on the SF though, so they're not really giving Young G that right-click advantage, but the Shadow Raises should still allow him to have a fairly decent time here up against no one.
Miles away.
Just looking at that bot lane, do have the Riki there up with Kakid, up against Resolution on that Mars, and Zayak does return from the grave on that Snapfire. So they do run the Mars and Snap combination. That's going to be a very scary combination once you hit that mid game. Arena of Blood and Mortimer's Kisses, man, it's essentially the floor really does become lava, and it becomes very hard to try and fight into that. Still mid lane, we do see no one. He'll be up against Young G. No one already has been providing a lot of harassment out onto Young G, and you know, one thing that we didn't really talk about, John, they didn't take advantage of the Clockwork Cogs and SF combo.
Yeah, they had to sacrifice that early on. Of course, if they did go for it, they would have gone for it from the fountain, but they opted for the more aggressive route. They have that they have the Darks here, of course, so they need the Battery Assault to really maximize that early aggression.
Oh, Solo. Luckily for him, Cogs aren't available on TSA. So he'll have to step back, and he can't do much about the creep skipping that's going on. You do still have a position 1 like Kuman, who is very well aware of how to farm underneath the tier 1 tower. So it's not like this Troll's going to really struggle to farm up. He's still going to get all the farm in the world. But at the very least, you also secure so much CS and XP on that Clock and on that Darkseer.
Definitely. It's going to be exactly what these two heroes need. I think the big part is that EXP is going to be going on to TSA as well. So he's going to have a decent timing into his level 6, and that does mean he can apply that pressure much earlier than you'd expect from a support Clockwork.
Interestingly enough, though, Phogos, he actually TP's back to the fountain. He was quite low on HP, but he did have a salve available. It looks like he just didn't feel comfortable while Solo was roaming around on the AA. And one chilling touch may have done the job. So he opts to back off. TSA, he does pull the creep wave behind his own tier 1 tower, and that is a double wave. So they are still going to get that farm. But it's going to be a little bit harder now, because you wouldn't expect TSA to try and pull the creep wave every time. And I don't believe that Kuman and Solo are really going to allow that to happen.
No, definitely not. In fact,
Solo's rotating, never mind.
I think even if you leave Kuman alone like this, as long as he's not being jumped and committed by these two, then you're not really getting that early aggression you want from the Clockwork Darkseer. Right? Kuman's at level 4. He's very happy to have this lane turn out the way it has.
23 last hits, 4 denies as well. Yeah, he hasn't been missing. That's for sure. So, still everything going fine. So, VP, understand this. They run a trial lane down bot. It's going to make it much harder. In fact, it is going to force an opposing trial lane from the side of Winstrike now. Because otherwise, this Riki definitely isn't going to be able to get any form of farm. And this isn't really what the Clockwork wants, but at least he is coming in at level 3.
Yeah, he's already got some EXP to play with. They are making a move on to Solo.
Yeah, it gets conked up. This should be a guaranteed kill. And it will be. As he goes for Zayak as well, but he doesn't have that Iron Show any longer. There'll be no follow-up, so TSA just going to have to walk himself out. And will do so. That was a position 5 AA. It's not too big of a deal, but they can keep going as Resolution now getting jumper cookie is there from Zayak. TSA should still be able to help secure Zayak at least, and they do. TSA picks up that kill, but now the Riki getting speared to a tree, and that is not the trade you want.
Definitely not. Like, they are still ahead 4-2. They did get that kill earlier on, but they do sacrifice their Riki, who's already not having the best of times in this lane matchup, right? Like, in terms of last hits, 18-7. You compare that to Arturo at 35-7. Not a good time for Winstrike. Comparing these pause one course, he's going to have to play a bit of catch-up, or at the very least, expect a slightly slower ramp-up into his power spike in the mid-game.
Dire's top tower is under attack.
Well, they do rotate the clock out.
Kuman found Young G. What?
Well, alright. What is
just
Kuman?
walked in jungle?
Okay, fair enough. Kuman picks up a kill by himself up against Young G. And was level 6, didn't have battle trance, but didn't need it. Just claims the kill. Very well done. Meanwhile, the Darkseer, Phogos, going to be chased down on the Darkseer, of course, and Solo going to chase him. Trap is going to slow him down a bit, but here comes TSA. He's going to try and help out as no one does get caught in the conks, but also doesn't mind, as he will just snuggle up against TSA on the clock. Finds a very easy kill for himself.
And this is really just not